Yard open. Yard is open. Here we go. Yard open. I got my boy Jake with me. I got Shawn with me. It's a rare occurrence. Either one of these guys are in town. So to catch both of them here at the same damn time, this is, it's early. You know what I'm saying? The sun's all out and shit. You know what I'm saying? But, these fellas are busy. They shipping out of town, got tours coming up and shit. So got to get it in, get it going.
Be like that, a good work, hard work. Keep coming.
It keeps coming. So, how I know these guys? We've all been in the personal security business, executive protection, bodyguard, whatever you want to call it. So, how about you guys tell me, how did you guys get in the industry?
Go ahead, Jake. I say go ahead, Jake, because your face is the biggest face.
Yeah,
in
Jake,
the last 3-4 years.
Shit, man.
Your clientele has picked up. So go ahead, Jake.
All right, so here's how I got into it. So,
and so we all work for the same company at one time. We'll just leave this company unnamed.
Allegedly.
We'll leave this company unnamed.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
Okay. Allegedly.
If it was a company.
All right, yeah.
We all knew the same scam artist at one point. So,
right. Okay.
So, little backstory about how I got into this. So, I went to West Point, played football. 2017, I was 3 weeks away from graduating. I was done playing football, all that stuff. And me and some of my, teammates from football who, like, hey, we got this last semester. Let's just get in the best shape of our lives and, train before we become Army officers. Cool. And then, we were training to compete for this amateur bodybuilding competition. Long story short, I had this weird-ass roommate that went through my stuff and found a bottle of testosterone, turned me in. Next thing I know, CID's raiding my room. And, the investigation was pending for a while. And 3 weeks...
You had a rat for a roommate, huh?
Oh, yeah, yeah. And this part that sucks about it is, I got along with everybody. Everyone at West Point, you could come from all walks of life. I had a roommate from Kazakhstan.
Oh, okay.
I was friends with, a dude from, he was Saudi Arabian foreign exchange cadet who was, very interesting dude, like just wealthy, very wealthy, like all this, like he was a great guy to be friends with. And like you would think like, cause you would think like, oh, like we have nothing in common. Like, no, you learn like you got something in common with everybody.
Right.
So this guy,
This rat, trying to get brownie points and shit.
So we have a meeting because, not knocking on the Mormon faith. He was a Mormon kid. We had to have a meeting about like, hey, like this was my senior year, and everyone put in like senior year is when you actually get to choose or like not directly choose, but at least like put in for like, hey, here's my preferences for roommates.
Right.
And they make the roster off that. Every other year, plebe year, yuck year, and cow year, freshman, sophomore, junior year, you don't get to choose. If I remember correctly, junior year you have like you can put some preference in, but it wasn't like senior year, first year. So we have a meeting with all the firsties minus this kid, and they were like, hey, everyone put in their room preference rosters, and, no one put this kid on. Someone's got to take him on, or we're going to have to force it. And me and the other kid that I was rooming with, he was a lacrosse player. We were good buddies. And we were like, okay, we get along with everybody. Yeah, bro, he can room with us. No problem.
Mm-hmm.
And up until that point, he was it was like weird shit. Like I would like be going through my desk and like find something, and I was like, hey, whose stuff is this? And he'd be like, and my lacrosse roommate would be like, that's mine. I've been looking for that. And then,
but it's in the
roommate
desk.
number 3.
Yeah.
The snitch would be like, oh, yeah, I was cleaning up and I just assumed it was yours, so I put it in your desk. And it was just like, that's a little weird. We don't, let's just at least ask first.
Yeah.
Whose is it? It's not that hard. So anyways, turned into this whole thing. Long story short, and like while the investigation was pending, I had no idea. This whole time I'm thinking it was like I'm sitting there like getting ready to fight. Like, man, this is illegal search and seizure. And granted, at the end of the day, I knew that taking testosterone, even though we had female cadets taking it prescribed by the Army, while for them to transition, because this was right as Trump was elected, and Obama, one of the things that he did was, prescribe, or he created a path for.
Wow. So you were in at the same time they were doing the transition from women to men and
there
men
was
to
3
women.
female cadets at that time that were, and that's why my board meeting, I sat before the lieutenant colonel where they, drill you on the evidence, and it was, I was respectful, but at the same time I was just like, save it. Like I was like, sir, I was like, save the morality speech. I was like, we have 3 female, because he's sitting there talking about, oh, this is dangerous, this is, blah, 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 all this stuff. I was like, sir, I was like, with all due respect, like, listen, I broke the rules. I realized that, I take full responsibility of that. I got caught. Do I agree with it? No. But I broke the rules. I'm going to get punished. Let's leave it at that. I was like, but the morality speech is useless. I was like, we have 3 female cadets who are prescribed testosterone by the medical staff here at West Point, military doctors.
That's interesting.
For them to transition, I was like, and if anybody's done any actual research on the, there are limited studies that have been done, but the studies that have been done, the dangers for females taking this hormone are, way greater than males. It's because it is a male hormone.
Right.
So save the morality speech. Like I'm not,
So you were smart.
So what's the ranking officer you're talking to?
So lieutenant colonel.
Lieutenant colonel.
Yeah, up there.
So you said lieutenant colonel.
Yes.
Hey man,
So-
say that shit, man.
So when
All
you,
that morality shit, man. What you gonna do?
So as a military, they don't like when you smarter than them.
All right. See, that was I don't even know if you knew that, Jake. I did 17 years in prison. That was me in prison and shit. They'd be like, look, man, we're gonna take you to the take me to the box, man. God damn. All that other shit, man. Don't talk me to death, man. Take me to my cell.
God bless you, because I did 4 days in an MP holding cell, and that was enough for me. So I don't know how you did it. So
Hey,
So much respect to what you went through and who you, because we were just talking earlier. It's like if you didn't know that, you didn't say that, no one would know that.
Yeah, people wouldn't know.
How would they know?
That's the point.
They wouldn't, because you conduct yourself in a way
That's the point,
that
right?
is, you are so, like, there's people out there that's like, oh man, like, do they do time? Like, that are obvious, that brag about all this stuff. It's just like, for you, it is like, that doesn't define you. You never let it define you, and you have become the man that you are despite your past. And I have mad respect for that, and everybody should.
Props. Thank you. But let's get back to West Point, though. You know what I'm saying? Look,
Hell, what? Where do we even start with?
you're lieutenant,
you're on your way
lieutenant
out.
colonel. Yeah,
And how you
you know
got
what I'm saying? They found the test.
So, anyways,
Make sure the mic's close enough now.
You got kicked out.
All right.
You're already there.
So it wasn't until my misconduct investigation where they present all the evidence to you that, and all this time, like, the fucking snitch roommate was like, oh man, that's terrible, like all this stuff, like, and I genuinely had no idea until a few days before the misconduct investigation. They're required to present all the evidence that they have against you before you go into the board. And I'm reading through it, and the sworn statements, and I was like, oh shit. So this guy, like, because like I would take a shot of testosterone every third day while I was on cycle. And the sworn statement of how they searched my room was, oh, cadet so-and-so.
Cadet Mormon.
Notice an unusual pattern of me going to the bathroom just at taps that was curfew, bringing a bag from under my bed. And when he took it upon himself to look in the bag, he found a bottle of testosterone and syringes, and then immediately reported it to the company tactical officer and the military police. I had no idea. For the past, it was probably 3 months, I was still living with this guy, and he's sitting there because they're hammering me. I had no privileges. I was confined to my room, all this stuff, and he's sitting there like, man, that's so terrible, the way they're all this stuff. And then I get the board pack, and I'm just like, and I'm sitting there, and like, so I was the board officer for people who had honor boards, basically like the cadet lawyer representative for people who were accused of lying, cheating, all this stuff, because like that was a flawed system that I was gung-ho on. Like, like if people were really, innocent, like, I'm gonna help you. And so he's like, oh, is that another honor board packet? I'm like, no, this one's for me, because he didn't know. He was like, oh man, I'm sorry. I'm like, yeah. I was like, here's the weirdest part. I was like, listen to this part. And I read the sworn statement to him. I was like, and I just looked up and I was like, ain't that a bitch? He got up and left the room immediately. And then like, so then he doesn't come back to the room. Attack officer comes to the room. He's like, hey, like, grab your stuff. Like, you got to,
They should have. I was wondering. I'm like, damn. So even like once you find out, like,
so basically,
did they separate y'all?
Yeah, it was a
could you imagine?
It was a no contact order because he goes when he found out that I knew that he was the one that snitched on me. Mm-hmm. He tells again, says like, oh my God, he's on to me, blah blah blah. So they come back. It's like, hey, you can't have contact with them. All this stuff was like.
So they moved you instead of him.
Right. So they put me into this room, this confined room that they called, the unofficial word for it was suicide watch.
Okay.
But, it was basically where you were under like 24-hour surveillance from the CQ board, the CQ desk. Yeah. So the CQ desk had like, an officer on duty at all times. And like basically I wasn't allowed to go take a piss, take a shower, anything without them watching me. So it was, so from going really 5 years, including West Point, or including the prep school, to being 3 weeks away from graduation to this, it was like, all right. And then they treat me like I'm just like gonna go school shooter and like, and I'm just like, this is ridiculous. And they did offer, because they knew, they weren't stupid. They knew that like, like there was a group of us that worked out together. There was a group of us that was always together. And, I'm not gonna lie, like it was a whole fucking group of us. It wasn't just me. Mm-hmm. And then, like they were like, oh, like, if you let us know who else was doing this, like, we might still give you a lighter punishment. That was their words. We might give you a lighter punishment. And they didn't promise me anything like that. Like, we'll give you a lighter punishment. You might not get kicked. Like, it was, they hinted to, they might have said it directly, but like, you might still get to graduate. Mm-hmm. Something to that effect. And, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, it was just me. And the dudes that they graduated, they became Army Rangers. They're fucking studs. And they still look after me and have nothing but respect for me. And, it's like, it's the way it should be. And so
overall, they probably really didn't even care. But the fact that somebody directly put it in their face and like, hey, you got to do something about this.
Right. Yeah.
Because, especially when you're trying to create super soldiers need some type of fuel. You know what I'm saying? It ain't every day old JR born. You know what I'm saying? Some people need a little help. To be old super soldier and shit.
And that's it.
So you just eat your Wheaties, huh?
Yeah.
Or beans and rice, or back then honey buns and shit.
That's a lot of the issue overall I have with the government is that it leaves little room, if any, a lot of times for common sense, for it's like, oh, here's the rule. Okay, you violated the rule.
So you gotta experience the firsthand politics and bureaucracy.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know what firsthand politics and bureaucracy is.
Because from what I've heard, you know what I'm saying? Because I know a couple Navy SEALs, bunch of special ops guys and shit. When they talk about what they were going through, for their, whatever it be, Hell Week, you know what I'm saying? Like just their training. But this is pretty intense. You know what I'm saying? And you expecting people to bounce back and recover, and you got a rucksack running up a mountain, down a valley, sleep 2 hours, go swim 8 miles and shit. And you gonna get on my ass about this little test and shit. You know what I'm saying? Shit, a motherfucker need that shit.
Yeah. They're gonna tell you all they need is sleep and water.
Yeah.
I know they're gonna tell you we did it with sleep and water.
Okay, but I'm saying, so you out of West Point, how'd you end up Jake Wick? You know what I'm saying? Because when I met you, you slinging a gun around, look like you got a video camera behind you, doing all these different angles, reloading, popping back, and, the little metal target fucking 40 yards away. You ding, ding. Then throwing that clip out, shooting with the other hand sideways behind a barrel. Ding, ding, ding. Out of this clip, loading another one. You done picked up some shit out the mud and ding, ding, ding. You know what I'm saying? You was doing all this at West Point, or did you pick this up after the fact?
Now that might be a little bit of an exaggeration,
Slight.
but
Slight.
Before I was always into firearms. I always had kind of the Jordan Peterson philosophy of like a harmless man is not a good man. Good man is a very dangerous man that has under voluntary control. So I always subscribe to that belief that like as a man, I need to be as dangerous as possible. Mm-hmm. Not to act on it or show that off, but it's because I need to be prepared for anything. I need to be prepared to protect the people I love. I need to be prepared to protect myself, anyone around me, and I'll be damned if I'm in a situation to where I could have done something. It's kind of like that Spider-Man movie, with great power comes great responsibility. And it's like, man, I want to have that power to where like I'm responsible for the people around me. And so even before going to West Point, I was always big into shooting. I taught myself a lot of it. Like I didn't do really any formal training other than just teaching myself up until, I went to West Point. We did basic training. Then the next year we did basic field training. We did field training every year. And, we did a lot. It was nothing compared to what, like what Shawn would have gone through with special operations, anything like that. But it was a baseline, field training type tactics, stuff like that. During the school year, we did a lot of more classes on how to think strategically, stuff like that. But I was always like, every time I was home, I'm going to the range. As soon as I was able to purchase guns, I was collecting. It was always, and then, so as soon as I got kicked out of West Point, we had, I was living at St. Augustine at the time, and we had a awesome outdoor range. It's called Saltwater Shooting Club. It had individual bays, metal targets, all this stuff. The owner was I don't know if he was the owner or not. The guy that was always running it when I was there was a ex-MARSOC guy, hilarious. In fact, because I was always bringing people to teach them how to shoot, all this stuff. And a lot of times it was females I was like teaching how to shoot early on. And then I remember the one time the first time I showed up with one of my buddies that came down, he was actually a guy that I went to West Point with. And it was the one time I'd shaved my beard, and I showed up, he was and he was just made a joke. He's like, man, it's you good? He's like, usually you bring girls here, and now you shaved your beard, and now you got a dude here. Is there something you want to tell me?
got the booty face.
The guy was hilarious. But anyways, free reign to actually be able to train, to be able to move, shoot, draw from the holster, anything. It was, so I was going at least once a week. Because at that time, as soon as I got kicked out of West Point, I got into sales. I was working for a roofing company, doing sales, learned how to sell, all this stuff. Got really good at it, made 6 figures first year. Never saw that. I was supposed to go back to school and finish my engineering degree. As soon as I started,
I was in college for engineering too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was, I was done with my credit hours at West Point for systems engineering. I was actually that semester I got kicked out, I was working on 2 minors in German and cybersecurity. So got kicked out, so you don't get shit. So I was like, shit, my plan is get a job, float a semester till, I can go back to school, finish my engineering degree, and move on. Well, I got into sales, just discovered that where I'm like, why the hell do I need a college? Why? Like, I'm making six figures, knocking on people's doors, inspecting their roofs. So, and this is, I was like, this is nothing. So I was like, I can do so much more than this. I don't want to be an engineer. So, yeah, so with that, with making more money, I was able to, one of the things I was always passionate about was training. So I was doing that on my own. I was training people, I would do lessons, and I've never done the, I am a firearms instructor. I train people. I've taught training classes. I've trained actors. I've trained other professionals, all this stuff. I've never taken an NRA certification course or anything like that because I don't believe in it. Why the fuck am I going to pay the NRA, who really I don't believe as an organization really does shit, to give me a certification that says that I'm, that I'm
legal, qualified.
But is it mandatory? Or no?
No.
So it's just kind of like a voluntary thing?
It's mandatory if you want to. There are courses that are mandatory if you want to teach the state-required concealed carry permit class, which, again, is a check-the-block class that is very here's the course material you're going to teach. It's not. People that are like, oh, I'm a firearms instructor and I do the, if that's all they teach, you're not a firearms instructor. You're a guy that that reiterates the fucking check the block required material. There's no individual thought or training or anything that goes into it. You're just repeating the required course material. That's it. And so, yeah, I refuse to get a fucking certification, pay the NRA a fee to get certified that, that they tell me I'm qualified to be a firearms instructor.
So how did you end up from sales
So I moved
following these mega stars around? I'm looking on Instagram now. There's another one. Oh damn! Who was the? It was an athlete I saw you with recently. John Morant. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I understand music industry. We all got a little music industry stuff behind us. Now I was like, God.
Who carrying a gun? You or him?
We're gonna act like you don't have to answer that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to answer that.
But I will say, from all that I saw, I did never see him with a gun.
Was it even a toy gun?
Never saw anything.
Okay. So from sales.
So I did sales.
But always been training. You moved
for 2 years in St. Augustine, Jacksonville area. And then I got ambitious. It was like, well, I'm not working for this company. I want to start my own shit. So I moved to Tampa because there was for the roofing company that I was working for, there was a clause that I signed, a non-compete, that there was a radius of where, if you're going to work for another roofing, sales, or anything like that company, or anything like that, it has to be outside of this radius. And I was like, fuck that. I want to start my own. So I wanted to start my own, and I had done some digging, all this stuff. And I was like, okay, I want to start my own roofing and solar thing with the main focus on solar, because as a solar sales company, you don't have to have a contracting license like you did in roofing. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to set up shop in Tampa to where that way it's they're not on my ass about being outside the radius because I've satisfied that. It
must be a pretty big radius they had.
It was I want to say 100 something miles or
That's
something
a big
like
radius.
that, or 150 miles,
That's
something like
radius.
that. But if you're talking about populated areas, it's okay, well, I'm looking at it as like the next best thing is Tampa, which I always like had the times that I'd visit. I was like, you know, Tampa seems like a pretty great place anyways for young professionals that want to start business, stuff like that. So I moved here, tried to start that. And, you know, things were, I underestimated the amount of work that it took to get going, to build momentum I had about, from the sales gig, from the 2 years I've done, I had about 60,000 saved up. And within, you know, about 3 to 4 months of moving to Tampa and trying to just fund getting everything going, I was about broke. So I had just started to get momentum, started to build things when COVID hit. And, you know, the business model that I had was based off of in-home sales appointments and with a primary focus on solar, which is different from roofing. Like I said, it's like, you know, like, because I was like, okay, let me focus on solar because you don't have to have these, you know, contracting licenses, stuff like this, all this stuff. And, but the difference when COVID hit is, okay, everyone has a fucking roof. Insurance pays if you have storm damage and you need a new roof. Solar is a new thing. So you're talking them into something that, like, okay, that's a new expense. And sure, it makes sense for a lot of people because you're already paying a power bill and, you know, like you're basically just turning what is already your power bill into investing in a system. And for some people, it makes sense. You save a lot of money in the long run. But for a new technology, something they don't already have, and something that, like, now it's like the future is uncertain, like, I'm not, you know, because it is like investing in a loan that's like $30,000 to $50,000 for a lot of these homes. So, yeah, it started to fail miserably. So I was actually at a Super Bowl, like during the Super Bowl that was right before COVID. I was with a group of friends at.
Was that Miami?
No, I was in.
I went to Tampa.
Franklin Manor.
Oh, Tampa, right before COVID.
I was at right before COVID. I was at Franklin Manor, and ran into Jay Hills in the bathroom. And
Did you know him before this?
Nope.
So this is just
Met him in the bathroom.
a random.
He was working security there at that club, and I was.
Shit,
You
I
know,
was probably there that night.
he was talking about, you know, and I was drinking all that stuff, and I was just like fucking with him. Like he was talking to somebody about like some sort of like hand-to-hand combat move or whatever. I'm like, hey bro, just don't beat me up. I'm just trying to wash my hands. And he was like, oh man, like we started chopping it up, and he was like, oh, like he was like, man, you look like you should do security. I'm like, nah, I'm good, man. Like, you know, I was like, but I do. I was like, and I asked him, I was like, do you have any good, know of any good ranges out here? I was like, I do firearms instructor stuff, and I haven't had a chance to like look into out here, like all this stuff. He's like, oh, he's like, I work for this company that does private security. He's like, man, you should at least like meet the owners, all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, man, yeah. So, you know, fast forward to when, and like I at least like made the connection, all this stuff, because he put it in terms of like, oh, like, you know, like we need a firearms instructor, all this stuff. And I was like, okay, so like, okay, like there's a side hustle I could do. Like I could teach some courses, all this stuff.
You and Thor.
Yeah, so, and then, so I was in contact with, you know, the guy we won't mention. And then when, at the height of COVID, when everything shut down, and they reached out and was like, hey, we got this government contract in Atlanta, pays like remember what it was, like just under $3,000 a week, whatever. Assisting the U.S. Marshals in this contract for the quarantine site, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, fuck. Like, I was like, you know, I got nothing else going for me right now. Yeah, let's do it. And then from there, just made connections to other people in the private security world, and it just kind of just snowballed and just grew. I honestly just, yeah, I've said it a lot of times, and I mean it. It's like private security is like the one thing that's like I've never really, like, I always loved and was like, man, like, you know, this is like an industry that I actually enjoy, stuff like that, but I've never really like sought after.
Right.
Because, and like, you know, it seems silly looking back on it, because I was just like, man, I don't have a cool background. I wasn't a Navy SEAL. I wasn't special operation, all this stuff. Like, you always think like, man, that the people that make a big career in that have this kick-ass background, this cool resume. And so I was just like, you know, I'll never make it in that world. Mm-hmm. So I never really pursued it, never really tried. And when I say never really tried, like every time I had an opportunity, I made the most of it. I was like, I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to fucking blow them out of the water. I'm going to do the best job I can. But I never really like, man, this is the career I want to do the rest of my life. This is what I'm all in on this. I kept trying to get out. I kept, you know, like I actually started working like as a sales manager for another roofing company, all this stuff. And that's when, you know, after I completely parted ways with JR.
Not me, by the way. There's another JR.
No.
Yeah.
Different. After I parted ways, I was like, you know, like he tried to blackball me, make it seem like, oh, like, you know, I made you, all this stuff. I'm like, all right, whatever. I just don't, at that point, my mindset was like, I don't even want anything to do with this industry. I was like, if this is the type of people I'm dealing with, I don't want anything to do with it. Because I felt a sense of loyalty because he brought me on that first gig, all this stuff. And it was just like, you know, I felt like, you know, he introduced me to this
Hold
field.
on. Speaking of, who was your first gig? What artist? I remember.
My first artist?
Yeah.
Young and Ace.
Kanye West.
So that was the second.
Oh, okay.
So
But your first
Young and
major
Ace,
artist.
Young and Ace was the first. But Kanye West was the first one I ran by myself.
Yeah. And then another company tried to hire you because you was legit.
Yeah, no, I forgot all about that. So like on that gig, so they tried to, because it was at the ranch. It was a clusterfuck. There was like 3 different security companies competing on this shit. There was like the old security company who, you know, they parted ways with, that ended up coming back because it was the initial, like him, he was having the beginning of his marital issues, and apparently it was the same company that did his spouse's family and his. So I don't know whose call it was. I don't know if it was a manager. Bottom line, they were like, okay, this is a conflict of interest if this goes south. So, and I don't know anything more than that. I don't know the details, but that was what was relayed, like why the last team was cut loose. But they were still working the spouse's family. So I get up there, it's a clusterfuck. And another company that had come in to work his vice presidential running mate, Michelle Tidball, they were fucking snakes. And they were like, immediately when they got there, it was just like, they were liars, and their goal was to take over the whole ranch. And I was young and naive, and, you know, like it was, like there was like little shit, from the very first meeting, like I picked the team leader up at the airport, and take him over for the first intro. And Michelle was his life coach, his Christian life coach, mentor, all this stuff. And this guy, on the way there, like, fuck this, fuck that, blah, blah, blah. We get there, and he's just like, man, yes, yeah. Like, he had done his homework. He was a professional con artist. And he's like, yes, ma'am. Like, and she's like sitting there like, well, like, what type of guys? And he's like, ma'am. He's like, I make sure, first and foremost, I'm a believer. And like, I make sure that, everyone in my team is a family man. I make sure that they are faithful to their wives, blah, blah, blah. He goes through this whole pitch that I'm just sitting there like, that is complete opposite of everything you just told me in the car on the way here. And then at the very end, it's like, ma'am, do you mind if we pray together? And we go through this prayer, and then and she's like, man, I feel so much better about this. We get back in the truck, and I'm driving him back to his hotel room. He's like, man, that lady's a fucking loon, isn't she? And I'm just like, you're a fucking con artist. Like, if you're like, you can be a professional and not be fake.
Yeah, you ain't got to do all that.
You don't have to have the same ideology, the same beliefs, or the same, like, all this stuff as the person that you're protecting. But like, pretending you do and putting on this facade is fake as shit. And so from the very beginning, I was like, I don't fucking trust you. And it just grew from there. Like, there was shit like where, like, someone called it because we were all assigned truck at the ranch. And small town, Cody, Wyoming. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows who the fuck works at the ranch because we all got the fucking matte black Ford Raptor. And
oh shit, they ain't just give you any truck. You got you a Raptor out there, huh?
Yeah. So everybody knew. It's like, oh, matte black Ford Raptor, they work on the ranch. And so somebody had called in like, oh, this truck, like plate number, everything, like the local sheriff, like, oh, this guy's driving reckless, speeding all this stuff through town. Oh, well, guess who it was? Dipshit that was in charge of fucking the vice president candidate, Michelle's detail. So he comes in, it's like, oh, hey, like, if anybody asks, tell them that you guys called me at the gate and said that there was a rattlesnake and I was in a rush. I'm like, so you want us to say that we were afraid that there was a rattlesnake and called you like a little bitch? I was like, and not to mention, like, because I'd been there a week prior, and I put together a whole intel report of everybody that worked on the ranch, all this stuff. I was like, not to mention, if you had looked at my intel report, there's a full-time snake guy that works on the ranch. That, like, I have his contact info, everything on there. I provided it to you. I was like, so why the fuck would I call you? No, I'm not lying for you, bro. Like, I'm not doing that. So, like, bottom line, later it turns into they convince, like, oh, we need to kick this other company off the ranch. But then they offered me, like, hey, you're a solid guy. You already know everybody. We'll offer you $100 more a day to stay on and work for us. And I was just like, nah, I ain't gonna work for y'all. So, I rambled on, but long story short is, like, I felt this sense of loyalty because, that was my first taste of, like, other shit out there. And, like, granted, like, early on, like, I did believe, I was like, I never thought he was very intelligent, the leader of the company that we worked for. I was like, this guy's an idiot. But I always thought he was genuine. I thought he had good intentions. I thought he had a good heart. I was like, you know what? I can deal with someone that's not very bright as long as I know that, that they have good intentions and they're, for the people that work for them.
So you jumped into Young and Ace, then immediate major Kanye West, and then where it went from there? the baby.
So we name dropping and shit now?
I mean, it's on his Instagram. You can find it on his Instagram.
I damn sure done seen a lot on that Instagram, boy. God damn.
We did the Milk Boys. We did. So, the baby was the last straw because it, that was about the time, and I can't even really tell you what started the friction.
Right, I know, but even though
It started because there was prime example, like I got asked to work, an artist in Orlando, $600 a day, and me and you worked an artist together in Orlando that I asked you for to come with me, and I think he was a little butthurt from that because, but the artist specifically asked, like, hey, I want guys 6 foot or taller. Okay, like client preference,
it's always preferred.
So and I think that was the starting point because what was that, December? Because that was before Christmas. That was December. And then, after that, I kept getting asked for more stuff. And, I was like, hey, I got this offer. And he was like, oh, I need you to work Young and Ace in Miami, $250 for the day. I'm like, well, it's going to cost me about that, getting down there and gas and back. I was like, I always believed in the bigger picture of okay, he gave me a shot because I held on to that false belief that this is an industry that's only open for these high-speed guys like yourself. I was like, so this is the only reason I'm allowed to operate in this industry is because he gave me a chance, and that was completely false.
Well, when you say completely false, because now in the industry you see guys with no formal training.
Nothing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Cousins and shit.
right.
Anybody.
Right.
He's fat. Yeah, he can protect me.
And after we parted ways, I had so many people. Let me rephrase that. I had 3 in particular reach out to me that were predominant other security companies that were like, man, I wanted to reach out to you a lot sooner, but so-and-so said that you worked for him, and I don't associate with him, and, so I didn't want to reach out to you. And so I'm so glad to see that you've parted ways with him. And it was like, man, this whole time, this belief that, oh, this is my only way into this industry. In reality, he was holding me back from all this other business that I could have had. Because he's telling everybody no, this person worked for me and only and he had that mind oh, you guys I remember the messages. It's you're not independent contractor. I'm like, well, actually, so what am I? Because you don't pay me a salary, you don't pay workers' comp insurance on me, you don't provide me with a uniform, you don't provide me with training. I've trained myself. I was like, so what the fuck am I? Because by legal definition, yeah, I'm an independent contractor. But so what are we talking about here? So, but the last straw was at the baby gig where I'd worked the baby twice. Third time, and there would already start to be some friction because, I again don't remember what started all this stuff, but when we went down there that time where we had, the outside that really, really fucked up club where there had been a ton of shootings at where we were in Kevlar helmets and shit with Ace. And that's where it was like we had already had.
It was G5 Miami.
Yeah, we'd had issues before that. I don't remember what it was about, but I came down there and was afterwards I was like, hey, I thought we moved great tonight. I tried to repair it. It was hey, we moved great as a team tonight. Whatever. So then it wasn't a couple weeks, 2 weeks later maybe, where DeBaby, who had already worked twice with him. And, they need a guy in Miami, need 2 guys in Miami. So he sends me down to Miami. I go all the way down to Miami. And he tells me, stand down. DeBaby handpicked his guys this time, and he picked so-and-so and so-and-so. 2 other guys. I'm like, I'm like, so you mean to tell me that they picked 2 guys that they've never worked with before? These dudes are super paranoid. And and don't get me wrong, I've only worked them twice, but that just doesn't make fucking sense.
Mm-hmm.
So they handpicked 2 guys that have never worked with them before over me. I was like, I don't really believe that. Sorry. And then, so at that time, I'd started to get clients on my own. At that time, I was like, fuck it. And so I'd picked up a client in Miami on my own for that weekend. But because I was already down there, one of the other guys that they had supposedly handpicked was a buddy of mine, Eric. And so I didn't have a hotel room or anything like that. So I was like, hey, man, at that time I was still getting started. I was like, can I, crash on the couch or the floor at your hotel room? He's like, yeah, bro, absolutely. Eric's a great dude. Always looked out for me. We've been a great team. So I show up at the hotel, and DeBaby's entourage is down in the lobby. I walk through the hotel. And one of the guys, his, I don't know if his brother, whatever, P. It was thank God, finally you're here. I was like, no, I'm actually working a different client. I'm down here working a different client. I'm just, here to, I'm gonna stay with Eric. And they were like, what? They were like, and no offense to Eric or anything, but his words exactly were like, bro, we don't even know these dudes. We don't fuck with these dudes. You're the only person we fuck with. It's so why? I was like, JR said y'all didn't want me. It's like, what the fuck is he talking about? I was like, that never happened. There was we didn't pick anything.
He lied to you?
He straight up lied. So after that, I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm not gonna be fucking lied to. And so I tried to get out of it all together. It was like I took a job as a sales manager with this company, and while I was there, this guy reached out to me and was like, hey, I didn't know him. He was like, hey, Lil Baby wants you to be security for him. He's going to call you later today. I was like, oh, okay, sure. So I'm sitting there in the middle of the sales meeting, and I get a text message. And it's like, Jake, what's up? It's Lil Baby.
That's how you read it?
Motherfucker he's terrible at texting. Dominique, I'm sorry, but you suck at texting. And he was like, so I'm trying, he didn't call me, but he was like, send me text. I was like, I need you in Atlanta tonight to go to Hawks game with me. I'm like, okay. And I was like, it was like a Friday or something like that. I was like, all right. And I'm trying to get more info. Do you want, are you going to book who do I need to talk to about booking the ticket? It's fucking, it's 1 p.m. in the afternoon. The Hawks game is at 7. I ain't got much time. All this stuff. It's just garbled, misspelled text of so he sends me a flight confirmation and a hotel confirmation. So I go there, Uber to the hotel, and I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing? And I go to the hotel. He blows me off for the game like, and I'm watching on his like Instagram, social media. I'm watching on his Instagram story, like, I'm like, this motherfucker's at the game. I'm like, is this actually even him that's texting me? He's like, hey, my bad, like, like, I just went with my son last minute. I need you in Miami tomorrow. Because he was performing at the fucking TikTok versus YouTubers boxing match that they had.
I remember.
And
because when you came in, I had to give you a gun.
Yeah,
you have a gun with you.
yeah. Because I flew into.
I was leaving Miami.
Right.
You didn't have a gun.
Right. Because in
you.
Atlanta, like I have, my parents live there also. I'm like, okay, like, and it was so last minute. I was like, I don't even have time to run home and grab a firearm in my firearm case, all this stuff. I was like, like my parents' house in Atlanta. I called my dad. I was like, hey, you meet me at this hotel. Bring me one of my firearms. And I keep it at the house. Okay, like all this stuff, so I don't have a case or anything to check it, so like, and then all that stuff is like, oh, I need you in Miami, and I'm like, motherfucker, again.
If you don't need a firearm nowhere else,
don't have time to get a,
like,
and it was literally like the next morning, and like by the time he actually reached out to me, it was so late. I was like, all the stores to where I could get a case or anything for it closed, no one told me anything. I was like,
it's funny though, because the way it worked out, I was in Miami working.
Towards the mic.
I was in Miami working. And he hit me, and I was like, yo, I'm pulling out in like 3 hours. He's like, I'll be there in 45 minutes. Like, all right, cool. So when he got to the rental car place, handed him a gun.
and your vest, yeah.
And a vest. I had all, because I had
gun
all
and a
my
vest.
gear.
It was like,
I had just got done working the detail.
Yeah.
It was pretty fast. It just kind of worked out for it, though.
So then
it's good to know people, right?
Yeah.
Good people.
Yeah.
It's good to know good people.
Yeah. That's the one thing that's like, I'll say has accelerated my career. It's just knowing good people. Like, yeah, like there was minor setbacks of knowing the wrong people. But as long as you learn how to network and meet the right people and,
doing a good job when the opportunity presents itself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I would have never gotten any opportunities otherwise. So, yeah. I mean, so I did that gig, and then it was just like we were locked in. He was like, okay, yeah, like I met his manager, all that stuff. He was like, yeah, like we're going to need you for tour, all this stuff. And they're just like, blah, blah, blah. And it was just like, we were billing at $1,000 a day, me and Eric. Because at that time, I was like, I don't want to do this shit. I was checked out. So like part of there's a lot of people that just like fucking lowball that do this disservice to the industry. So it's just like, I'm like, I don't want to do this. I was like, yeah, if you want me, $1,000 a day. Okay. I was like, fuck. All right. Well, I wasn't really expecting you to like meet my offer.
Yeah.
I was like, but fuck. All
you gotta make it worth your while.
I guess I'll just roll with it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, from there, like, did that for almost like 9 months.
Yeah.
And it just, ever since then, it's like just the networking opportunities from doing the tour, all that stuff, it just grew. And yeah.
That's something that people ask me too all the time. It's like, why don't you advertise? Why don't you? I'm like, bro, like this industry doesn't work like that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it can. You have to be you have to be very calculated. And like
advertising or networking wise?
Well, advertising can be a form of networking. You're right as far as like, okay, like as far as the traditional sense of like, if you're running ads.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you running ads, if you're on Instagram, hey, I'm a bodyguard.
Yeah.
Come hire me. No. Look at me on the range doing this. Ducker behind a car, escorting this guy, you know what I'm saying, from the bank to his car. Man, that shit don't work, man.
That don't work.
You know what I'm saying? It's people in the industry. It's the networking is
but that in itself, because like for example, the guy, he was Meek Mill's bodyguard, Edric. I'd never met him in person.
Yeah.
Never.
I met him in the Bahamas.
I ended up meeting him in person, but at the time where he called me, he was, all he knew me through was from my Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it's like,
But how
okay,
did he know to see you there?
on Instagram?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
It's probably still somebody was like, still like word of mouth. A
According-
good
yeah,
recommendation. Hey, you looking for somebody? Oh, well, you know,
Very credible,
there's Jake
know.
Wick. You know,
Well,
Jake Wick.
You know, there's
look
a
on his
lot,
Instagram.
There's
Boom.
a lot of people on, you know, like,
And even still, advertising wise, he's seeing you with people. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, it's on your Instagram.
But before that, that's what I'm saying. It's like before Lil Baby, I really didn't have, like, other than, you know, Ace, time I did French Montana, because I didn't have any pictures, like, show anything with Kanye.
I'm about to say, because I remember seeing you with French and TJ at the
but
airport.
I
Y'all
didn't
playing
even have-
football on the
on the
tarmac
runway.
and
I
shit.
didn't even
You know
have
what I'm saying?
but I didn't have any pictures with him or anything like that.
you were tagged. I think Mad Mike spit your name out a lot.
Yeah. So again, going back to the whole networking thing.
Yeah.
So there's one, like, networking, but, like, you know, social media has become,
The platform.
you
for
know,
everything.
it's not a traditional advertisement sense where, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like, oh, like, people are just going to come across you and, like, all this stuff. It is more so a secondary, almost resume thing after
Yeah.
someone recommends you.
Yeah.
To where they're like, oh, like, this guy's awesome. Like, because I have had several clients. Like, I was in Paris with a rapper client, and he was like, and he goes, hey, he's like, in that one video on your Instagram where you were shooting stuff, he's like, what kind of gun was that? I was like, oh, like, shit. I was like, that was like 2 years ago. I was like, damn, you really went digging. Like he described it like so. So it's more so like almost like a modern day resume, right? You don't really advertise your resume.
It very much is, because I'll say this: it's 2023. 2 years ago, business cards. We doing it right.
Yeah.
I gave somebody one of my business. I ain't gonna say who. The manager threw my shit on the ground. He said, "Give me the rest of them." Threw them on the ground. He said, "You older than everybody you work with. They not looking at business cards. They not putting business cards in their pocket, pulling them out. They going to your Instagram."
Right.
He was like, "Get a QR code, get
Yeah.
your shit popping." It was 2020. I ain't have Instagram then. You know that.
I made it.
Jake made me Instagram.
Yep. I remember you said that.
I'm giving out business. But he said, this is what a 24-year-old millionaire gonna do. He not about to put a card in his pocket, go look at it. He going straight to Instagram.
Out of all the clients I've worked, I think I've only been asked for, you know, an actual traditional resume twice. The rest of it, I've been asked a lot for, like, hey, send me a picture. Hey, what's your, like, social media account? Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, because, like, clients want to see that. You know, and even on my traditional resume, I make sure I have, like, a professional photo of me because, like, they want to know what you look like. They want to know, you know.
Mm.
And I make sure I include, like, hey, here's my, because I want to be transparent. And, you know, like, me and Byron Rogers talked a lot about it on his podcast because, like, there's, like, the old way of, like, oh, you don't post anything with clients. We're silent professionals, all this stuff. And it's like, you know, I get that in a sense that, like, if you are actually working a position to where, you know, you're doing private security in the, you know, the shadow realm. But, like, if you're working private security for these celebrities and stuff like that, the fucking pictures are out there. Like, it is public domain. So it's just a matter of, like, most of the people that are like, oh, I don't post pictures with clients, it's because you don't have clients. Like, it's like the people that, like, tried to, like, be like, oh, I'm not allowed, you know, in the military, the people that, you know, didn't do shit in the military that try to be like, oh, you know, I'm not allowed to talk about what I did. It's because you didn't do anything. worth talking about. You know, like it is a different world that we live in. So, you know, there's a way. Now, granted, I do 100% agree that you shouldn't just make it all about like pictures with you and your client, because then it becomes you tie yourself to that client. And I will say, like, you know, early on, it's like, again, I really just didn't give a fuck. I wasn't like trying to make a career when I was with little baby. So I was just like, you know, I was just like, social media, I treat it like social media. So I was like, you know, I'd post pictures with them, all this stuff. But the issue with that was like I was oversaturating it with like pictures of me working little baby. And like even now, I haven't worked him since December of 2021. And people still be like, oh, hey, like I saw like your client's going to be here. I'm like, what client? I'm like, they're like, little baby. I'm like, I ain't worked him in like almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And so you align yourself with, like, you lock yourself in with that, like, client. And it's just like the overarching picture that your social media should paint before any clients is the professionalism and how you do your job. You know, and that's how, you know, like, again, me and Byron had this talk. It was like, that's the number one thing it should say. You know, because the mistake that I see a lot of people make, again, including myself early on, is that, like, it's all about pictures with client. It's like, well, is your social media about you or your client? And it's just like, it's a certain point, it just becomes like a fucking fan page if you oversaturate it. So,
Fanboy.
yeah.
So Sean, how you get in?
The story not so similar to Jake's, but kind of similar. Sean joined the Air Force.
Oh Lord, you talking yourself about third person already. You said Sean joined it. We're gonna nip that shit in the bud now. Okay.
I joined the Air Force.
So I joined the Air Force.
I joined the Air Force, and
Kanye, don't start that Kanye shit.
Nah, I mean, but you know, somebody like you and somebody like you who actually know me, I'm a smile, happy, go goofy guy.
Mm-hmm.
I was always athletic, and I joined the Air Force for a $20,000 bonus. Broke.
Remember to talk to the mic.
I was broke with a baby. Joined the Air Force for a $20,000 bonus. Had a plan. You know, plan went south really fast. But I was stationed at Herbert Field, Florida, and if I can't do nothing else, I could run. I was blazing. So these guys kept looking at me. I didn't know who the hell they were. And they were special operators. And he was like, you want to see what we got going on? No, sir, I don't. No, sir, I don't.
Let it go.
And I just happened to be, what was different about me and Jake, I didn't have rats. I had people on my side. I had a lot of mentors come talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys was like, hey, man, you know, you got a lot going on. And one of the first mentors I had, he said, you know, you got $1 million smile. But with that life, you need $1 million style. I said, looking at him, said, you rapping to me?
Oh,
he was like, no, you need to get you some skills.
That's your old pimp.
Right. He was like, you need to get you some skills. He was like, you need to get you some skills that'll carry you outside the military. And he's like, you know, whatever the standard military got to offer, you can go live a regular life. But outside of that, if you get some skills, it'll take you a long way. He's like, I mean, he was like welding underwater, welding, 6-figure salary. You know, he wasn't just talking about this, but he was a special tactics guy. So, being an athlete, a lot of things came easy for me physically. Nothing like Jake. Not motivated to teach myself how to do this and how to do that. If I had to go through qualifications, I had to do it 2 times before I was able to pass. I wasn't a quitter, so a lot of guys stuck with me. They was like, we're going to make you good. And when I got good, it didn't even matter because I knew guys that were great. I still know guys that were great. I know some awesome fucking guys. I know some fucking heroes. And but I did some for a moment. I did some cool guy shit. For me, it ain't nothing to brag about because when I was there, I was doing it. It's guys who succeeded multiple times what I've done already. Mm-hmm. But I did some cool guy shit. So I get out the military. I was hurt. I was injured 2 times. I caught a rare disease, rhabdomyolysis. Happens in a lot of CrossFitters, low body fat, exercising. And apparently, I had one of the worst cases the DOD has ever seen, the Department of Defense. They didn't know how I survived because I ignored all my symptoms. And I was still working hard. I was sucking, but I was still doing better than most people. And when I got to the hospital, all my organs were in failure. Everything except my heart.
So in other words, your disease was being too fit.
Or as they used to tell me.
You said your body fat percentage was too low and you worked out too much.
Right, because they would tell me when you because it's such a rare disease. They didn't, in these military doctors, right? They didn't have the book on it. You know, they didn't have specialties, and they were like, "Well, you got low body fat, and when your body hits brick walls, it draws from your fat. You didn't have body fat, so it was drawn from your muscle.
That's wild.
So when my muscle started eating itself, I was pissing blood. So I look like I'm pissing Coke and coffee, and I'm like, oh, I'm dehydrated. And I'm drinking more water, and I'm pushing more blood back through my kidneys. So my kidneys were shutting down, my gallbladder, my liver, my lungs were filled with fluid. So all my major organs are failing other than my heart. So when I finally got to the hospital, they were like, you're touch and go. I'm 30 years old. This is happened in 2011. So I might have been 29. They're like, you touch and go. The fuck is touch and go mean? Because I got military doctors talking to me like, yeah, you touch and go. We don't. I was told weird shit like when your oldest son turned 14, 15, you might be asking for a kidney. We don't know if your kidney's going to ever work. I'm on IVs for 7-8 days straight, just cleaning my system out. Long story short, I bounced back. It took about a year and a half. I was never the same person. I started off at a 17-minute 3-mile. A year and a half, 2 years later, I was making a qualification like 22 minutes, like giving everything I got. But anyway, I get through the stuff. I have some cool times. I go overseas. Even before that, I've traveled overseas. I did some cool shit. I parachuted on 3 out of 7 continents. Pretty fucking dope shit, man. So I get out the military.
Hold on, because you said you had 2 injuries, man. Now I know what the other one was.
Second
you know
injuries. So I had 3 cracked vertebrae.
From?
We don't even know. By the time I got to the hospital, they was calloused. My vertebrae had calloused and healed over.
I thought you were talking about the time you got blown up like in the Humvee and shit. Like that sounded like a better story and shit when you riding in the desert and hit a motherfucking and what they call them shits, man?
ID?
Yeah.
I got blew off the back. And,
Was that before or after?
Oh no, that was before. I got blew off the back.
Technically, it could have been.
Nah, it wasn't from that. Because you get checked out from that shit. I came back from where I did my PHA, and I was with some cool guys, and they was like, "You got knocked unconscious, but you woke up. So get your gun and go back to work. People die every day." I was like, "Oh shit!" I was with the Army, you know. So the Army was like, "Yeah, you was asleep while the gunfight was going on." You know, can you follow my finger? I was like, yeah, you know, it's like 2008, right? It was like, we've been over here since 01. We've been over here since 01 doing this shit. Like, a little nap don't mean you ain't going back to work. I was like, oh shit, you know, I got a real fast humility of, you know, what some people go through. Mm-hmm. And moving forward on that, you remember Gabe, and Gabe was an Army Ranger, and he was like 8 deployments. So when he was working over us with the company,
I would have never thought.
Yeah, because he was out of shape at that point.
Yeah,
right?
And he doesn't look crazy enough. Gabe don't look like he looks like civilized and shit.
But he had like 8 deployments under his belt since he was 18, like 18 to 30. And when old, I ain't gonna say his name, but you know, he comes in, he's like, oh, I was in a book and I was this, that, and the third. And he was like, we got into a firefight. Gabe was like, oh, you got into a firefight and I wrote a book about it. He was like, you know how many motherfucking firefights I've been in? So I knew the mentality because of what happened. They was like, yo, you mean like these motherfuckers got blew the fuck up. You got blew off. You went to sleep. We had a whole gunfight. Get your weapon. Let's go to work. I'm not writing you shit. This is what happened every day. I was like, oh shit. I'm young, right? I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, you coming from that Air Force shit.
Yeah, coming from the
Air Force. AC.
Right, you know what I'm
they
saying?
out here in the jungle and shit, out here in the desert.
And I was attached to him because I had I went through some training, and it was like, yeah, you got to have Air Force guy. Well, you ain't have to have Air Force guy. We're going to have these Air Force guys out here. He's going to run security for this guy over here, some colonel, some shit. And he's like, I only trust Air Force guys because he probably ain't never been around nobody else. Fucking gay. But that actually turned into a great learning experience because I got hands-on action, hands-on training, like on the job training. You ever been in no firefight? No. All right, so when these bullets start firing, when you cock your weapon back, when I stop, you start talking guns. I'm like, all right. Piss down my leg and shit. You hear the bullets fucking hitting the Hummer. Bing, bing, bing. Then they give you a high five. Good job. Like, we're going to do the same thing tomorrow. So you pick on real fast. But I get out the Air Force, and I get a contract overseas. I can go overseas for a little bit. And once again, a lot of guys work over there. I'm making some good money, and I get a skill set in PSD, personal security detail.
So hold on, right? So I used to always hear you and some other people be like, "Oh yeah, I got the contract. I'm going back to Afghanistan as a civilian."
Yeah.
What are you doing?
So what
I used to wonder that shit.
You got guys that do multiple
you going back
things.
to Afghanistan.
You got guys that do a multitude of things. You had guys that worked in the mail room as a civilian. See, everything that you can do in the military, you can do as a civilian, making double, triple, quadruple as what you do in the military. You had firefighters go back over there, work on the oil fields. You had guys work forklifts, construction guys.
A lot of construction going on.
Okay.
Biggest thing, and not a shot at you, but there's a lot of prisoners that had the HVAC, or guys that went to prison had the HVAC, and they were there working the AC systems. $150,000 a year. AC. When them AC go out, they fixing it because they had the HVAC certificate. That's not a fucking certificate, not a degree certificate.
So I can do that?
You can do that today.
So
right
if
now.
I go over to Afghanistan, fix ACs and shit, can I carry a AK?
You're going to be in the green zone, what they call the no danger zone.
Wherever.
You on your own.
Oh, yeah. They ain't
Right
got
now,
we ain't
you
got
on
no
your
bases
own.
over there.
Wherever.
But,
you know what I'm
you know,
saying? In a war zone. Can I just
5-6 years ago,
can I carry my AK? That's all I
You
need to
ain't-
know
you
while I'm
ain't-
fixing the
It depends
AC.
on local law.
you wouldn't even have that because they would have the military escorting you. You ain't even have
I
to worry
want my
about
own AK. That's all I'm saying.
that wasn't part of the civilian. That wasn't part of the civilian plan. They had the military escort you, which was crazy. So we getting paid less to escort you to get paid more. So a lot of guys caught on to that shit. I'm like, I'm getting out to go be HVAC. A lot of guys did that shit too. But I went over there with my skill sets, PSD, personal security detail, and I was an air traffic controller with my job. So if they needed me, I could land helos or helicopters. But we were generally in suits escorting government officials, both host and foreign countries. We take them out to meetings, this, that, and the third. I mean, we had the whole setup. Almost like the movies. You had 3 cars, the gunners, the cars you run in, you got your shooter, you got your driver at all times, the motorcade. And I went and did that for a little bit, and this is when we met. I didn't, you would see me here and you would see me there because I was gone for 60 days, home for 30. Gone for 60, home for 30. I had a sweet-ass schedule. Didn't even know we was neighbors. We lived in the same neighborhood, didn't even know we was neighbors.
I didn't like anybody to know where I lived at for the longest. I'm still kind of like that. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to set the podcast
Only reason
up at
I
the
knew we
house
was
and shit.
neighbors, I was walking around or trying to run, get back in shape. He blew the horn at me. What you doing?
Nah, you were driving by.
Was I driving? I thought
You
I
were
was
driving
running.
by, and I was in the driveway and shit.
I thought I was running that day.
You seen me.
And but
You in
come to
that
find out, my
fucking
kids
Dodge
go to
truck.
school. We,
Yeah.
at the time, his girlfriend had
Yeah,
kids.
his son was at my house
Didn't
every
even
day.
know. Didn't even know, man. And didn't know he was. They never said, his name. They was like, oh, Miss such and such. I'm going over their house, and never fucking knew. And he at the gym, and we started working out later on after that. But so long story short, when I'm overseas, I meet these guys that I call them the OWGs, right? The old white guys. They got all the contracts. They did 70 years in the military. Feel like literally they did 30, and now they're on the government side. And they got the game sold up. They don't come back into the country. They stay out the country 400 plus days. They don't get taxed on their money. They got wives in Peru, wives in Thailand, wives in Vietnam. I'm asking, this shit ain't like America. You can do what the fuck you want to do in them other countries. And they said, well, I got a contract. It's for the Bank of America president. He just, came out there. He got some stuff going on. You're gonna go to some training, and I want you to run it. But it's only 60 days. 60 days, and then they get a whole new set of people. This person, you can only run him for 60 days, and then he get a whole new set of people. That's it. You'll never see him again, no nothing. Bank president, don't know what the fuck he got going on. So I ran him for 60 days and networking. Started making some contacts. Made the contacts with people, and then I started doing some other small jobs, a few CEOs. I personally got to do Mark Zuckerberg's wife with some of my friends that, I met through that. I was gone a long time, so spent some time at home with my kids. I got back in school, and that's when we was, working out. So I was going to school, getting school money, had money in the bank. We running around, and as we all said, we were sticking with the same company. He's like, "Oh, you got these skills. I want to do this with you. I want to do that with you. Basically, I had nothing to do. I was like, "All right, yeah, let's try to run it." Moving forward, we all know that shit went 2 thumbs down south really fast. Same thing. We would do a few jobs, $300 here, $250 there. I'm not hurting, so it's okay. And when that didn't work as fast as it did, as you know, I would take off. You'd be like, "Where you going?" I'll say, "Man, I'm about to go land these helicopters for the Coast Guard for these hurricanes." That was great money for me. I could still do that. My skill set was somewhere where I didn't need to be here. And still no Instagram. And that was my biggest flex. I was like, I never apply for jobs. They just call me. I get an email. That was like a flex I ran.
Because you were still tied in like with the government and shit, right?
Right. So I still had these ties in this network in this small but kind of big career at the same time. Like, only who you deal with. And moving forward from that, you see me, I take off and then I'll be back. I take off, be back, money good, living good. And in this time, this guy, Jake, is exploding. I had worked the baby for a few months in L.A., didn't like him, didn't want to do him again, didn't like his family, didn't like none of them. Although he was never rude to us.
Yeah.
Them niggas.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah.
His people.
Yeah. Didn't want nothing to do with them, bro. The way they treated you, the way they talked to you, like it was a privilege to be there. So, in essence, with the training I had, I get certificates that most people don't get. One of the perks of everything I did, and one of the things that make me eligible to do what I do, I can carry in all 50 states. Everybody can't do that. You can get cops to do it, badges. I have this special, or not even special, I have a qualified badge that lets me carry in all 50 states.
HR 218.
And the LEOSA, the
Law
DOD
Enforcement
license.
Officer Safety Act.
Right, so I got in mine says I'm a DOD officer, qualified officer, which is federal. And so Jake was like, listen, he started, as networking. Hey, I got a guy, you need to go to New York. He could take you to New York. He was like, all right, bet. So Jake started bouncing stuff off me when he was either busy or he just like, yo, it's crazy trying to carry up there. LA, I can carry. Chicago, I can carry. And as he's growing his name on that side and I'm doing things on my other side, we start bouncing off each other back and forth. And even before that, you and I went on tour together. So we go on tour together. And to this day, I think we worked one of the most influential, calm, classy people or person that, you just can't beat it. Was it the best price? Nah, but did it work out? You never had a hotel problem. You never had an invoice problem.
His staff was on point, boy.
He got a team, we knew he wasn't coming out the room before 4 p.m. and was going to be back by 1 a.m. So we had time in between. If we at the Wynn, if we at the Four Seasons.
We all on the border of Mexico and shit, working out at the gyms and had plenty of time to still get it in on tour and shit.
You can do what you wanted to do. And so we went on that tour.
That was a good one.
And even from that, I thought the networking was going to expand from that tour, but it really didn't because I don't think if you're in the Latin community, but people saw us. And I tell people, oh yeah, I work, this like good, but I never got hired from another artist from that. Even when I worked him individually.
But, because speaking of networking, because Sean, one thing Sean gonna do is network, because I ain't talking to anybody. We gone and doing what we doing and this, that, and the other. Sean always talking to people. And when you down in Miami with the artists at fucking
Art Basel.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, people go around and they see each other, and even when I seen y'all, when I was working with, we're at Rolling Loud, you know what I'm saying? Be like, hey, this little baby, he might want to get in on the next one. Same thing with Big Boy, TJ Cousin, you know what I'm saying? He was like, oh man, let me introduce you to
Marco. Yeah,
man.
Yeah, so I think that go back to, like I said, I had those mentors in the military, and that's one thing that worked for me. They said, you got that $1 million smile, you have to put some $1 million style, but you can't have style without skill. So I used to take that to heart, like, okay, I got to do something better. I can do this for 20 years, retire, have a pension, and live minimal. I wasn't good at too much, but I learned to be good. And it didn't even matter because when I was good, like I said, I knew great guys. The Jake Wicks. I'm on focus point. They go dry. They got the other weapon up. They on the ground. They reload. And I'm like, God damn. Me, I'm fumbling over shit. I'm gun jammed. I'm pointing at people. Motherfucker, you flagging us, But I had to learn. And once I learned, it will get you in a realm of where you want to be. But so I took what I learned. I took that mindset. If I got style, if I got skill, I could be somewhere. And when I did network, I did some networking, and we met more people. And like we said, when we was at Rolling Loud, they looking at you, who that? I said, oh, that's my partner. I work security with him too. Rah, 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 rah. Make sure we get his number. Make sure we get his information. And as we talk, as you know, sometimes they always want a weapon. And you like, hey, I fuck with this, but I ain't fucking with that. So it really did work. The networking works out a lot. The networking and the skills goes a long way. And to this day, I got a minimum Instagram, but I do get people that hit us up and not posting. And Jake said something serious. Don't get attached to the artist, but do this, that, and the third. And sometime a guy will post me, or artist will post me, and we picked up a job from one of the richest motherfuckers in America. Worked and can't wait to work him again, hoping he just say, hey, I want y'all. He called us, emailed us. He was like, listen, I hear good things about y'all. I got to have y'all. I golf with this guy. I golf with Tom Brady. I golf with this person. I golf with this person.
Michael Jordan.
I golf with Michael Jordan. I used to live in Atlanta. I don't live there no more. I moved over here. Just being very vague for, whatever reasons. But he said, meet me here. We're going to get on my private jet. We're going to fly here. We're going to work. If we stay, I got y'all. If we don't, we're just going to come back, take care of y'all, blah, blah. Just like he said, no issues. He was like, I run with protection. He was like, I know what I'm worth. I know what I got on. I know I got a $300,000 watch on. Kids, this, that, and third. Kind of like when we were, I want you to protect everybody else around me too. And if that wasn't one of the easiest non-headache jobs, and these guys are starting to recognize us, and it goes to say, to me, that says the work you're doing is getting put out there. Because they follow some of the guys we follow on Instagram as well. And he's like, oh, this the guy work with this guy? Let me get with him. Easy work, great work. And I just wish these guys would keep calling. Yep. Unfortunately, the rappers keep calling.
I'm going to try and reel in that dude was out with us the other night. I ain't going to say who he is, but you remember we were out the other night, and there was the other guy in the suit?
Yeah.
Do you know who he is?
I know who he's connected with.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what he does. And
billionaire. Just chilling, just cruising.
And then,
hey, man, y'all look out having a good time. Yeah, come hang out.
And
I got you. I keep an eye on you. You know what I'm saying?
And he's linked in.
Next time I see you, we'll talk. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We'll talk this time. Now, I don't like talking too much anyway.
Yeah, the networking is amazing, man. Once, like you said, we've had to push our resumes up to one or two people. Two things about the industry that he didn't discuss is boy, they'll try to handle you like you in the streets. They'll try to handle you like you on a dice game.
Yeah. If you let them.
If you let them.
Yeah.
So we pass up, and one thing I would like to say was consistent, low ball prices. I'm good. I might listen. I might not be eating lamb chops this week, but 2 weeks from now, somebody else gonna call and they gonna pay
It's
the
good
price.
to be financially in a good position where you don't have to take the
Right.
bullshit.
Right.
You know what
That's
I'm saying?
that's what helped me out a lot early is because I was like, you know, I knew how to make money in sales, and I knew it's like, okay, I can make 6 figures doing sales. I don't need executive protection. So I was like, so when I got the first these independent calls, I was like, yeah, I'll do it for $1,000 a day because I was like, I know I'll make 6 figures doing fucking roofing sales, so you gotta meet me at a price that's worthy of me getting my ass up and coming out there.
So let me ask you this, right? So whether it be making the 6 figures in sales
Yeah.
or the easy money from these executive types that nobody likes, but you like, why do you still go back to some of the other?
Well, I think it's
people?
important because, so if you only work one of these easy executive clients, it is very, very hard to stay.
Sharp.
Yeah, exactly. And
I-
so
I agree.
it is. I think there is value in stepping out. I call it, stepping out into the trenches, back out into the trenches.
Because
every
you don't
now and
mind.
then.
I figured you were just,
Bro,
because I have a, they say it's a hereditary thing. They call it
Yeah.
a thrill seeker gene.
yeah,
I absolutely have the thrill seeker
Yeah,
gene.
I'm kind of sick in the head. Like, I love skydiving. I like riding motorcycles.
Yeah.
I like working for dangerous artists.
Yeah.
So there's this rush that I get from it. But aside from that, it is, if I'm working, like my main client right now is super chill, super easy, all this stuff. But it is so easy to get complacent.
I get it.
It is so easy to fall into that trap of where you're just sitting there like, okay, he's having dinner and I'm like watching out and I'm just like on my phone and all this stuff. And I'm not really paying attention. But then when I'm with one of these artists where people actually want to kill him, it's like I'm watching every motherfucker that walks through that door. So it's like I'm on high alert, and it's like so it is good to keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
You sharp. I agree. A few years ago, at the end of 2021, got a call for my skills. After the hurricane, ExxonMobil said, "Hey, we need somebody to land our VPs on the oil platform, this, that, and the third." I was like, "All right, cool." And I was like, "They need a security guy out there for it." And it, at the time, it didn't register, how important a VP of oil company is. And they said, "Well, the Gulf is not far from Mexico. They had a cartel threat. They said they get everything the military get. So their helicopters were in this matte black paint that you can't see in infrared, all this type of shit." And they said, "Yeah, we need you to sit out here on an oil platform, and if we have some crazy shit go on, we need you to be able to, not on the approaching the platform." I'm thinking about myself, what the fuck? And I had an anxiety, which I don't even believe in that word, but I just had, everything was at alert. Because
Yeah.
what the fuck anxiety is. I eat good, I sleep good, whatever. Anxiety for what? But I was back on my toes. My alertness was up. Everything, it was a good time. It was a good month. I was able to invoice a big ass bill. They just said, and send me an invoice. They ain't even tell me they ain't ask me what my rate was. And I can remember sending an invoice, and I'm not a computer guy. And the finance guy says, "You're from Florida. You got a Florida-based company. Your LLC. You need to put the 7.5 tax on there." That's how ignorant I was to what I was doing. So I'm Fuck it, I sent a $30,000 invoice in plus the tax on there, and it calculated. I'm like, damn, I just made that. I was like, fuck. But clearly, being back, like you just hearing, okay, you got cartel threats. That shit brings you back a little bit, but it brings you back to, you got to come back. You got to get your back big again.
Yeah.
You got to, you got to put your chest out just in case, so.
So I ended up doing 17 years, 7 months, 17 days. I was at 6 different prisons, right? My very first prison was a madhouse. It's crazy, just thrown straight to the wolves. I was there for 5 years, right? When I leave there, I go to a relatively sweet camp. Almost nobody goes there straight from the street. It's a lot of guys who have life sentences, been in prison for a long time, probably not going home. You know what I'm saying? But the old school guys, you know what I'm saying? It's the only prison that I went to that was probably majority white and older. Everything else is majority black, then Latinos, then whites, right? So I'm there, and like it was just super chill. They just randomly shipped me from there. I was there for like 5 years. They shipped me to another spot that was down south, that it was like all type of corruption, but a good way for the inmates. You know what I'm saying? It's about 75% of the officers are women, black women. You know what I'm saying? It's drugs, phones, these girls, they fucking, like it's all like, this is as good as it can get. I can stay here, right? Then I end up getting tangled up in some shit, so they transferred me to another camp that's with the shits. But I done been 6 years now in camps where it's not too much craziness, so you're not on high alert all the time. So they send me to this, I'm at camp number whatever. I think this is number 4, right? They got a weight cage on the rec yard. So I'm going in here to get some water. So, but it's really like a trap. It's only one way in, one way out. I go in there. When I'm at the water fountain, it's like I'm not really paying attention to what's going on behind me. This dude gets stabbed in the mouth right through the side like this, right as I walk in. And it was like my wake-up call. Because I can see the commotion, but like I've already let myself be trapped in here. You know what I'm saying? Had they been somebody who been waiting on me, since I might have done dust this motherfucker up, 6, 7, 10 years ago. I was like, oh shit. All right. Oh, we're back. So yeah, I get it. You know what I'm saying? You've been chilling for a long time and shit. And now you right back in the fire, keeps you sharp.
Yeah, because when I do those, most of those government contracts or something like that, it's just it's my skill is really cushy. It ain't stateside. You ain't really got pow coming at you. I'm doing floods for FEMA, making good money. Landing helicopters. Or search and rescue something, and it's more humanitarian than dangerous. It's just great money on that side. And then sometimes they be like, "Oh, can you go sit at DeSantis mansion?" All right, whatever. You sitting out front, and you really at that point like the third line of defense, because the first line of defense is police.
Yeah.
Second line of defense is gonna be his actual security.
Yeah.
And then you just like a backup. They paying security, like a deterrent at that part. So it's like everybody knows like, oh, this shit cushion, and that's the fucking mentality. This shit is cushion. I'm gonna get this check, and it's really hard when you're around everybody like, oh, this shit cushion.
Yeah.
Nobody's like, yeah, nah, we gotta, we gotta, boss up. Everybody like, this shit cushion. Police gonna be able to shoot and get away with it.
Yeah. Let them soften them up a little bit first.
Police gonna be able to shoot. If we drawing, all hell breaking loose. So, yeah, I totally agree with that statement. It's good to be on your toes. I'm not going to no more strip clubs though. That shit over.
I just kind of figured you just wanted a little craziness in your life and shit. You know what I'm saying? That's what I figured it was.
I mean,
what you said was logical, but in my mind, I'm like, yeah, nah, you just want a little madness every now and then.
I've always, veered towards the side of having a little bit of chaos in my life, but now I can rationalize it, I guess.
Okay.
I'm just finally found an industry to where it's like, okay, I can justify why it's good to have that. I guess.
Cause I used to have my nights. You know what I'm saying? I have my mood swings and shit where I feel like, yeah, let's get physical today. You know what I'm saying?
And I think I ran into one or two. I done caught a body from you once or twice. Like, damn, boy, you ain't see how big he was.
Any interesting stories you guys got? You know, being out and shit.
I'm trying to think of any I can.
So I got one. I can kind of, you know what I'm saying, fucking with Shawn and shit. So we're on tour. We're in Vegas. You know, we've been in Vegas for a few days now, right? So one of my buddies, he just got married. You know, we all know him. He just got married at the time. He'd been on a honeymoon for a month, right? I see on his wife's Instagram, they just landed back. So I was like, you know, congratulations, you know, happy whatever, being married and shit. He didn't even answer. He's like, man, where you at? Oh, I'm out in Vegas. You know, we on tour. He said, damn, you know, Drake's performing at XS tomorrow. I'm like, okay. He's like, I might come out there. I'm like, bro, you've been gone for a month. Nothing else, right? So, you know, we're doing our detail. We're doing what we do. So, right before we're getting ready to leave, you know, he's getting ready to go perform at Caesars and shit. He was like, I'm like, man, what'd you decide to do? He's like, oh, I'm in Vegas right now. All right. So I'm on stage, right? Behind the curtain, you know, watching the artist perform, do his thing. He hit my phone. Where you at? I'm like, bro, I'm on stage right now. Man, fuck that dude, man. What he paying you, man? I pay you double, man. Hey, man, you know, we at the Drake concert. You know, it's me and my wife. We got 18 hoes. Motherfucking James Harden and Westbrook, they right next to us. We done put the tables together. Man, fuck that shit, man. Come on, let's go. I don't even answer that shit. Still doing the thing. So anyway, show's over. We headed back. You know, some of the people orbiting the artists and shit, you know, Shawn's talking to him. They're like, yeah, you know, Drake's performing at XS tonight, you know, and these the artist people. I'm like, I'm not considering hanging out with these people whatsoever. Shawn like, oh yeah, you know, one of his the artist friends, like, oh, you know how people are, they know everybody. Oh, well, you know, I know the manager and they can get us backstage, and there is no backstage. There's no like how the stage is right there. It's in the middle of everything.
Yeah. I was just at XS.
I was like, bro, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean you can have us? Oh, yeah, we can be backstage. Ain't no backstage. You know, I see this after the fact. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I run up to the room. I'm changing. You know what I'm saying? That's a crazy line outside XS.
Hold on.
I
got a caveat. The funny thing is, I don't know this person exactly yet. So he's like, yo, get your shit together. I'm taking my time.
He taking his sweet time.
He's like, wait, listen.
I mean, that's
he
normal.
said, he said, I'm in front of the club right now. You got 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm
like,
ready to leave.
Shit. I'm like, bro, I'm getting my shit together. I run down there. Sure enough, I step down there.
Hold on. Right. So I'm outside the club waiting on Shawn. Right. Drake's performing. Crazy line out here. I'm seeing Hall of Fame basketball players, Hall of Fame football players. You got these singers. You got all these people trying to get in. They can't even get in. I'm like, man, Shawn, you better hurry up. I done already text my boy, hey, oh yeah, I'm on my way. You know what I'm saying? He comes out. He got a little guy. He has a guy in Vegas. Looks like a little mob boss and shit. You know what I'm saying? Shawn finally pulls up. We go right in
front of.
You got
That's
motherfucking.
XS.
This at XS.
Bro, we walked in
What's
front
his
of.
name?
We've walked in front of
First
NBA.
name.
We've walked in front of NBA champions.
I'm telling you,
What's the first?
you got motherfucking Hall of Famers, NBA champs.
with rings.
Yeah.
They like, we walk right in.
Walk right past them.
I might know him.
I was like, damn. Jeff is the connection out there.
We walk right the fucking. I was never seen that like it. Nah.
So anyway, yeah, you know, but that's just one night. You know, we hanging out, blah blah blah, and before you know it, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. Me and Shawn leaving the strip club. The sun's out. Oh, good times, man.
I think my crazy story. Same year, after that tour, I get a call. He said, "Hey, this guy's gonna be same artist gonna be in Miami for 2 weeks. Ended up being that bitch for 5 weeks. So I ended up being there for Art Basel. So he's a Latin artist, so he's very popular in Miami. They know him. He's been doing this for years, like 30. So the staff knows him. He's been same hotels over and over again. So for Art Basel, they have a Maxim party. This is just me by myself. So when we do his security, his team is on point. You know, we go to the desk, we get his keys. They know who we are, this, that, and the third. So this particular time, I'm not in the hotel with him. I'm across the street in the other hotel. If he calls me, I literally walk across the street to him because South Beach is like, I'm on Collins. It's just the hotels are right across from each other. So he calls me one night. We go out. We go to Nobu. He's in by like 10. Unknown for him. I guess the wine had got to him early. So while I'm in there, the hotel staff say, hey, the Maxim party's over here tonight. You are VIP to everything. No wristband, no nothing. It's the Maxim party. The Maxim girls, all the models.
Sounds like a good deal. Huh?
And they're wearing Drea's mint swim line. So I walk in a hotel. You know me, I'm a classic t-shirt guy. I'm just, I got some nice ass jeans on, maybe some Louboutins. I can't remember in the fucking tee. Weights up, I'm looking good because I be working out with this cat here. So I walk in and fresh mohawk, just got my hair cut and shit. Walk in, security's like, hey, what's up, bro? Boom. Open the gate for me. I don't have no wristbands on, no nothing. No VIP access because we're at that hotel or he's at that hotel. Walk in, boom, security walked me straight out. They was like, yeah, here's a bottle. They just had me a bottle, Ace of Spades. I was like, all right, so I'm just walk, because all off this client. Walk around the pool, do all this other shit. So I'm looking at the Maxim girls, blah, 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 blah. They calling each other on the radios. This is hotel security. They calling each other on. They was like, yeah, come on over here. I'm just getting VIP access. So DJ Khaled is the DJ for the party. They sit me down. DJ Khaled's DJing right here. They sit me down next to him. I got my own bottle. They bring me some champagne. And this is security that's like, yeah, no, he's a hotel guest here. Like, he gets whatever he want. Security's talking to each other on the radio. No, he's good. Sit him down. Do this, that, and the third. So I'm sitting down, and Drea comes talk to me. She's like, who are you? I said, nobody, right? So they drinking Clase Azul, and they got like the limited edition one. I ain't had these shots yet. So they hitting a little top with a glass or the little spoon. They woo, woo, woo. All these girls, all the models. So it's like, here, drink with us. I'm drinking shots with Drea, fine ass, and she ain't even a fine one. These Maxim models are destroying her. Bitches are fine. In a bathing suits, all that. Just drinking shots with them, blah, blah, blah. All of us know each other. We ain't thirsting behind nobody. I'm taking the shots, I'm drinking, I'm on my phone, checking shit. I'm not paying them no attention. They're like, so you going to live after this? We got a section. You can ride with us. I'm like, yeah, I ain't planning on it, but I was like, yeah, we can go. They was like, you ain't want to go to live tonight? What? Was you going to 11? No, oh, you must be going to Story. And I was like, so they want to know who I am so bad. So Tiana Taylor security was there. I met him in transition, just working on the road. So I get to the club. Me and him start talking. He's like, they over there doing their thing. So me and him talking. I ain't even paying them no attention. They like, so I go to live with them. So they like, oh man, who is this guy? I'm talking to security. They asking security, was that the guy in LA last week? As men do, security's like, yeah, he was in LA last week. That's him. I knew him from somewhere, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, though, my money ain't running like theirs. They want to go do some other shit, blah, 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 blah. I ended up going back to the room, but it was such a rush. Like you with 12, 15 beautifuls. They want to know who I am. I'm drinking with them. They feed me shot after shot after shot. Not that they want to fuck me or whatever, I don't know, but the hospitality was very different.
And that's for somebody else to get that experience, they probably would have had to drop 150
Right.
$1,000 that weekend
For somebody else
to get that kind of treatment.
You know what I'm saying? Like when they Bentleys pulled up, they was like, we got room in here. He can get in here with us. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
You know, like they was like, oh, and just kind of just running with the scene. All like I had a little Creed cologne on, so I guess I fit the
smelling good.
I guess I fit the description of a baller. I mean, but I'm steady. We ain't got no big money. I got a Movado on. That's it.
Yeah.
But I had some good shoes on. Jeans probably looked expensive. $25 Target tee, but they ran with me the whole time, man. And it was the hospitality was different when they thought you was somebody. I walk in and security. Here go a bottle of Ace of Spades. Oh yeah, let him in that gate. They whoop, whoop, whoop. Just like when we was in Vegas. They coming downstairs.
I know for sure.
There they go over there. Oh,
yep.
There they go right there. We walking straight through. All off this artist account.
And they opening up secret back doors.
Right.
You can hang out back in here, and you know what I'm saying.
Eat over here.
I'm having lunch with Russian billionaires back where they playing poker and shit. You know what I'm saying? We recognize each other. Like, how you doing? I've lost like about 3 million, but it's nothing. And the heavy Russian accent. I'll be like, I wonder what this motherfucker has seen and done in his lifetime.
And it was so so wild when you say TV put inches on people. This is a big guy. We standing next to Russell Westbrook and Harden. He the same damn size as them.
Yeah.
I thought the motherfuckers was huge. He bigger than Westbrook, bigger than Harden, but Harden might have a little height on him.
Yeah, Harden's tall. He's
might-
tall and lanky.
Right,
I've
but
been
I'm
around
like,
Harden a lot.
that motherfucker look big on TV.
Yeah.
He's standing next to them. They looking at us like, y'all play ball too? And I can't take Big Sexy nowhere. We all on the elevator. White lady. Oh, you guys here for baseball, or you here for the Raiders?
Oh
or
my goodness,
For the whole first,
she was trying to fuck. She was
year.
trying to fuck the whole elevator, man.
For the whole
My
whole
son
first
plays
year,
baseball.
before I even knew Jason, for the whole photo shoot for the company that we all worked for, someone was like, yeah, he was a Bucks player. I was like, oh shit, okay, makes sense. So that's just what I thought for the whole year. I was like, yeah, and then they come to find out nah, he actually did something. I'm like, no fucking way. I was like,
Scott, bro, navy blue Under Armour. He was like, you play baseball? He was like, I'm just out here. My son plays baseball. I know it. You're here for the Vegas Raiders. You're throwing. Boy, I'm talking about they throwing it left and right. Well, who are you? Shit, I'm the trainer. I'm the coach.
Now, some people, you can't tell them. Oh, no, you play for the Patriots. All right, bro. All right. Okay. I'm saying you ain't got any good real Hollywood stories, you know what I'm saying? Charlie Murphy wise,
I think of anything I can actually speak on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You ain't got to
violate an NDA.
I don't give any specifics or
Ain't no NDA stories. Hey,
dropping any names and Nah, we'll come back to that on part 2. Well, it's been almost 2 hours, man. We're gonna go and wrap this up because I see people blowing my phone up and shit, trying to, do this and do that. Thank you guys for coming out.
It was a good one.
Any last words you guys want to drop?
Yeah, man. This I just want to let people know. I get comments from people. We don't never see you. This, that, and the third. This man here could contest. I think I've been home for 8 weeks. 8 weeks, 2 months. If you ain't see me, you ain't try. I'm gone tomorrow.
Back on the grind. Shit, we all about to get back to work.
I'm out of here. You might not see me till 2024.
Yeah. Jake, anything?
Man, nothing I can think of.
All right. Well, that's it. Yard open. Yard is open.